All right, we're back again. And today I have got the pleasure of interviewing
Francisco Mendoza.
Francisco Mendoza. So, Francisco, before we get started, man, I just want you to know that I sincerely appreciate what you do to keep this country moving, man. It is not easy. I don't do your job, but I can only assume it's not easy. And a lot of people say it's not easy.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, sometimes we are a little underappreciated. People don't really know that. Like Jimmy Hoffa said, everything that you have comes in the truck, no matter what you have on.
Man, it's funny that you say that because like I don't know, just like 2 weeks ago, I just kind of had this tug at me to put out a video. And sometimes when I'm feeling it, I just got to do it. And so, the purpose of the video was to thank a truck driver. And I used like that exact thing. I'm like, if you're in an office, look around you. Everything you see made it there on a truck. If you're in your car, look around you. Everything you see, sort of the trees and the grass, made it there on a truck. And,
I think it's an easier list of what doesn't come in a truck than what does.
amen, amen, amen to that. So, man, when I say it, I mean it. Thank you, brother.
Appreciate it.
So, how long have you been driving?
11 years.
All right. And I know who you drive for because I know Monica. And I've
Yeah.
known Monica for a long time. So, she's a special lady, man. She's a lady in a man's world, man, and she is doing so good running that Sugar Creek transportation there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I learned a lot from her. I drove, I started driving with her as owner op, and recently I'm driving for her as a company driver. But I learned a lot with being with her as an owner operator. Alongside with her, I
Yeah.
branched out.
So let me ask you this: what kind of cargo do you pull? What kind of cargo do you haul today?
Well, right, we do a lot of like home, like, well, with her we had a few accounts. At Tuesday Morning, Home Depot, Barilla. So we haul a little bit of everything, mostly dry stuff. You know,
Now,
yeah.
what kinds of things have you hauled in the past?
Man, I've done tankers, flatbed, reefer, and I've done drayage, so containers.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I pretty much done almost everything. I just do cattle hauling, car hauling, and I'm overweight, oversized
Now,
loads in that.
what's been like your favorite thing, man? What's been the most interesting? Let's say what's been the most interesting thing you've hauled before?
Interesting in what aspect? Because I mean, like in the drive or like the stuff I pulled.
The stuff you pull.
I used to pull loads out of when you go to Vegas, there's a mine up in Baker.
Mhm.
We used to pull contaminated water, and it was just, had all kinds of stuff in it. It was pretty cool.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean,
The
yeah.
reason why I asked that is I asked this driver one time was the most interesting thing, and he's like, "Man, here recently I've been hauling a lot of bras and panties." It was so funny. So that has
Yeah.
become like a go-to for me. My daddy drove for years and he used to haul cigarettes. Like I'm from North Carolina. I live in North Carolina. So he used to haul cigarettes and tobacco out of North Carolina. Yeah, man, bras and panties, which was and we got a good chuckle out of that. Let me ask you, why did you get into trucking?
Honestly, I was working for a furniture company a while back for Living Spaces, and I seen one of my dad's cousins had his own truck, and he was killing it. He had a two-story house, new car, wife, new car, kids had toys, ATVs and stuff, and he just had one truck, and I was like, shit, you know, sign me up for that. So I just started studying my license, and then I tried to do it when I was 18, and I was told that I couldn't until I was 21. What
Yeah.
they didn't tell me was that I actually could do it when I was 18. I just couldn't leave the state.
Okay. I didn't know that. I mean, like I learned something all the time. Uh I love the sweet sound of a Jake break.
Yeah.
It takes me way, way, way back to when I was like 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. And so, I just love the sound of a Jake break because I used to hear that when my daddy, like, we lived like a quarter mile to the end of like a main road. And, this was in the 80s, man. So like we would
Those things
hear,
were loud, huh?
yeah, oh yeah. Well, we knew Daddy was going to come home on a Saturday. My daddy drove long haul, so we knew he was going to come home, and so we'd be listening for him. In the '80s, dude, we didn't have Xbox. We're in the yard,
Yeah.
man. In the woods,
Yeah.
climbing trees and stuff. And so we would hear that sound, and we knew Daddy was coming home in about 1 minute. So we'd run to the ditch and wait for him to. I grew up in the country, man. We all have ditches and stuff, so we'd run and wait there for him to pull up. But yeah. Anyway, I got off track there, but I learned last time I interviewed a guy that you can't use your engine brake, can't use your jakes in the rain, uh, or the snow because it'll
Yeah.
cause you to lose control. And I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I mean, I'm not a truck driver, even though I love
I
the
didn't know that
crossover.
either until I was told when a friend had told me we were talking about that, and he was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, don't use the jailbreak. You're gonna, you know." Have you ever hydroplaned?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, he was like, "It's something like that." I was like, "Oh shit!" So
yeah,
yeah,
man.
I don't do that
I
anymore.
mean, because it's I understand how the Jake brake works, but I never really had anybody say, "Yeah, dude, if it's slick surface under the wheels, man, it's gonna lock up, man." Um,
Yeah.
so what's your favorite thing about trucking?
You know, I'm a very like I don't have two faces kind of thing, you know. And when I was working in corporate America, there's people that are talking stuff behind your back, and and I couldn't do it. And one of the other things too was that every day is a different day. It's
Yeah.
not always the same day. There's breakdowns, there's blowouts, there's this, there's that, there's traffic, there's an accident, and I mean, there's people that like having their routine, you
Mhm.
know, and don't like to sway from that. And for me, it's like, it's nice to have a routine every once in a while, but also it gets boring,
Yeah.
and over here it's always different, you know. So
Yeah.
that's
I'm not, I mean, listen, I do business with corporate America all the time, but I'll show you this right here. This t-shirt right here. Employee number one, baby. I've owned the business for 19 years. And so, yeah, I mean, like I interface with corporate America, but yeah, I'm not in corporate America either, man. Like, and my days are, I don't drive a truck, but my days are hardly ever the same. So,
yeah,
I definitely
true
feel
though.
you. And I don't play politics either. Like I am who I am.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly. I mean, I didn't have bad experiences or anything. I mean, I like truck driving. Um, I first came in it for the money. Then I just liked it. I'm good
yeah.
at it, and I mean, I've trained a lot of people, and I had a guy. I was showing this guy how to drive because he had an automatic. He would only drive automatics, and I taught him how to drive stick. And we're in a full sleeper in downtown LA, and the streets are like very tight, and we're doing LTLs with a 53
Mm,
footer and a full rig, and normally they're day cabs when you go do that.
yeah.
And I was like, yeah, it's kind of hard, but you'll get them. He's like, dude, you fucking like this shit. Like, he's like, you can tell you like what you're doing. I was like, yeah, I guess I do. It's fun. It's just like, I don't know. I just learned to love it more.
Well,
So
and shifting's also it's an art. Like it really is. Doing the rev match, being able to to pop in and pop out. Shifting. When you're downshifting with Jake. Like I mean, I'm not a truck driver, but I've driven before. Like I got a
yeah.
chance to drive when I worked. At the same company my dad worked at years ago. So they used to
Oh,
let
okay.
me go out to the yard and pull the trucks and drive them in through the maintenance shop. So I get it, man. Um,
Yeah,
let me
once
ask.
you like the city is different driving. Then like a lot of times too, you're out once you get out into the open road, it's a whole different thing too. A lot of times like like you're on your own, like you're
Yeah,
out there. Back in the day when I first started driving, there was just AM radio and that was it, FM AM. And
AM FM radio.
yeah, there was just
Man,
it was boring, dude. Like
yeah,
it was sometimes it'd get hard. If you didn't get your sleep, you'd be like nodding off or stuff. But and it just gives you time to reflect. I think it's like, like your own time, like kind of me time, because when you're home, you're always doing something, there's always something to do. And when you get on the road, like, you start reflecting and just, and it's just a whole different feeling. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I
that's
like
cool,
it.
man. What are you driving right now? Are you in like a Cascadia or something?
Yeah, Cascadia. Well, I mean right now, but I drive a W900 for Monica.
Ooh, how about
Yeah,
that black one with the lime green stripes?
that's the one I drive.
You drive that truck, man? That is
Yeah,
one beautiful truck.
yeah, it is. Everybody,
Yeah.
I get compliments right everywhere.
Oh, I
That
bet you
truck, I
do.
mean, I've driven all kinds of trucks. I had never driven a hood truck, that's what they call hood trucks, classic trucks or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And yeah, I had to learn how to drive that. That drives different,
Oh
totally
yeah.
different.
That's king of the road, brother. That's that. I call it.
Yeah,
I always call them Captain Long Hood, man. Those things
yeah.
are they're special trucks, man. Um, I'll say this, and I want to ask you about your favorite, but my favorite truck, and I'm going to own one of these. I don't have a CDL, and I missed the cutoff like 2 years ago to be able to like go without having to take 6 weeks of classroom training. But I'm going to own one of these. I'm going to buy a Kenworth K100 cab over.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, that's always cool. I used to work for Gardner, a company out here in California, and they
Uh-huh.
had a lot of cab overs. And
Yeah.
I didn't even know Freightliner had cab overs. They had a Freightliner cab overs. Most of them were Peterbilt, so
Yeah.
Peterbilt
And
cab overs.
362s, the big tall ones, the three wipers on the windshield, man. Like,
Yeah, they had 53, no, 57 footers,
yeah.
special trailers for those.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so
Yeah, man. Freightliners, had the FLAs, the FLBs. The last cab over that Freightliner had was the Argosy, which they made that right up until like 2007. And then it was
uh,
more special, but they still make them for Australia and the European market. But yeah, man, I grew up in a K100. My granddaddy drove one, my daddy drove one. Like it's like that truck means a lot to me because that's where I really got addicted to the Jake brake sound. And I understood
yeah,
what that was. And then, whenever daddy would come home, I would connect the two together and be like, man, he's at the end of the road.
yeah.
Um,
Those are weird too, because I started driving with a friend on those when I started learning how to drive. He took me, and he has a cab over, and the cab overs are weird because it's like a game shifter. It's not
yeah.
like the whole the whole shifter, like, it's a little shifter that you just like, you're shifting. It's yeah, it's they're different.
Yeah. What do you have in that W900? What do you have like a what kind of motor do you have? What kind of horsepower? You have like a
Uh,
3406 CAT or Cummins or what?
it has a X15
Cummins.
Cummins with
Yeah.
like it's like a 560.
Oh, what's it what kind of transmission is a 13 or 18 speed?
18.
Oh, of course it is, man. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I've never asked Monica what she's got in that truck, but that's not a surprise. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
I
is
mean,
one nice ride, man. One nice
it
ride.
it, it was. I mean, 'cause I don't have anything against 10 speeds. I mean, I have a few 10 speeds, parked at the house, but to have one of those classics in a 10 speed would just be a damn shame. I
Oh yeah,
think, it's some for some people 18 speeds a lot. And a lot of people don't know how to drive them anymore. I
yeah.
started driving back in the day. It used to be a super, no, what they call them, super 10s.
Super tens. Yeah,
Yeah, super 10s. That's the first truck I started driving. Then straight 10s came out.
yeah.
So,
And the thing about the 18 speed is, man, it when I say it's an art, people have 18. I mean, you get different transmissions for different reasons. And so you have the 18, man, you got a lot of gears. And a lot of times you just float through the gears. And I see people, I watch a lot of truck videos. I see people get mixed up on the buttons whenever they downshift and, you have to flip the switch and all of that stuff. But,
yeah,
they have their place.
the
Yep.
splitter, yeah, and the selector. When I started driving, they I had a few speeding tickets, so I couldn't get hired on with it. I didn't want to do Swift or Schneider. Them, I've never worked for any of them. The biggest company I ever worked for was this company called Gardner Trucking. But I went independent, and then I couldn't get hired even if I wanted to because I had too many speeding tickets. So I worked a lot of owner operators. And when I worked with one guy, he said, "All right, let's go around the block." And I said, "Okay." He's like, "You know how to shift?" I said, "Yeah." And I had learned how to float my gears.
Yeah.
So I started going down the street, and when he sees me float the gears, he's like, "All right, just turn around." And I was like, "What happened?" He was like, "I thought I was fired." And he's like, "You float gears. That's all I want to know. I don't want to put nobody in a truck that's gonna double clutch and blow my transmission." So
Yeah.
as soon as he saw that I was floating gears, he was like, "All right, you know what you're doing. All right, let's go. You got the job."
Yeah, man.
So
That RPM match is it really is an art form, man. You're
mm,
feeling the vibration, you're listening for the engine, you're looking at the art, but you just it becomes muscle memory.
you
Uh
feel it.
yeah,
You
yeah,
feel it. You
yeah,
know, like you feel it, you hear it, like you just it just I remember because there was this guy trying to learn how to float and he would go off the RPMs that were and he tried like because they had like the colors, like some Freightliners have the colors on the gauges and he's trying to hit the perfect color or whatever. And when I would do it, he asked the instructor, how come he doesn't like he over revs and he still floats them and stuff? And I was like, well, she was like, because he can hear the motor, you can feel it. So
yeah.
he already knows, and it was true. I drove with my stepdad, my brother-in-law, and a couple friends, and they taught me. So when I went to school, I just went to school, so they would let me borrow the truck so I could go take it to do the test.
Right. Well, let me
Yeah,
ask you. So speaking of trucks, like what's been the favorite truck you've ever driven? I mean, you've
uh,
driven quite a few, obviously.
yeah, I have, and I'll be honest with you, it's a Toyota of fucking trucks, Freightliner Cascadias, man. To be honest with you,
Really? I've had a few people say
yeah,
that. I mean, they're like the Honda Accord of the trucking world.
they're the Toyotas of the trucking world. Toyota, Honda, they're they're so like turning radius is crazy. I've driven Volvos, but they say they have a good turning radius too.
Yeah.
And they're smoother than the Cascadias, right? The Cascadias are known for being bouncy or whatever, stiffer. But either or, but I prefer the Cascadia. It's just the setup is different.
Yeah.
Like it's just more uh, going from a 900 to a Cascadia, it's like worlds the difference, you
Oh
know.
yeah.
I have way more view in a Cascadia. The other one is like I understand now why you have the blind spots. Like in the Cascadia, you can almost see around the whole truck from your seat, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, and then just the setup, they're just I don't know, they're just more comfortable. You can turn anywhere, even if it's a day, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So I Peterbilts, they're nice. I'm not gonna say that. My dad had a Peterbilt, and I'm a W900 if I were to go either Peterbilt or Kenworth.
Yeah.
I'm a Kenworth guy, but um yeah, Cascadias, man,
Yeah.
it's just
Huh.
they're so comfortable.
I mean, these 389s are super popular now. I mean, well,
Yeah,
that's the owner operator truck, right? Like that's you get
yeah,
389, you trick it out, man. Like that's I've been going to some of the truck shows and like
yeah.
389 W900 are the two go-tos to like really enter them in competitions. Um,
That new W990 is nice too.
yeah, it's that combination of the T680 and the W900. I mean,
Yeah.
you take a lot of the creature comforts of the T680 and then that look of the W900. I think they did a good job with that truck.
I do too. I've driven a T680 and the W900 from what I've seen, I mean the W990, it's the outside is a W900 and the inside is a T680
Yep,
basically,
yep, yep,
which
yep,
is
yep.
awesome because it's like you have the look you want outside with the technology inside.
Yep. Great description. I mean, that's the way I look at it. I looked at both of them. I'm like, dude, this is like the T680 meets the W900.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
so let me ask you, what's your favorite part of the country to drive in? Now, obviously you're in California, but you've been all over. So where would you choose to drive out of anywhere in the country?
Dude, I've been running this one. My favorite lane is California to Arizona, you
Yeah.
know, the straightaways. Vegas is I do Vegas a lot too because it's short, you
Mhm.
know. But honestly the desert, and up north like Northern California too. The scenery is nice. My lane I like going to Arizona because you do 75 out there, so you go and come back,
Getting her
When you
done,
go
baby.
yeah, that the I-5, man, there's so many highway patrols on that. You can't speed. So but it's a nice scenery. So on the other side, you get one for another, you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
you can't speed, but
absolutely.
it's better scenery. But I'll say this though, the sunrise when you're getting into Arizona, it's something else, man.
Yeah.
So It's in the sunsets are nice too, but the sunrises, man, I've seen them. I've taken pictures. I put them on my IG. Like they're like, man, where's that at? It's like Arizona. They're like, oh wow, everybody gives
Nice.
Arizona kind of a bad because it's all desert, but it has its qualities.
Nice. So this next question, it's kind of two in one, but let's just say one question, two parts. What's the craziest thing you've seen on the road, and then the craziest thing you've seen off the road? And what I mean by off the road is you're at truck stops, man. You're at load yards. You're at all time of night and everything. But what's the craziest thing you've seen on the road?
Um, Mostly accidents.
Yeah.
That's mostly what I've seen. We used to do Amazon, and I've seen guys like break into an Amazon trailer while the guy's at a light and just steal stuff out of there. Yeah, and you just see them running, and I mean they called the police, and I think they caught up to them. But other than that, I mean accidents, some pretty bad accidents, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
is mostly what I've seen. Off of like at a truck stop. Um, nah, not nothing really, other than people, raging over parking spots.
Oh yeah. Good old truck parking, man.
Yeah, the truck parking and stuff. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
follow like 18 Wheels of Chrome and a few others, trucking IGs, and man, the stuff you see people arguing and fighting over parking spots at truck stops is unbelievable. Because you'll pay
yes,
for parking, and then somebody will take your spot, and you paid for that spot, and like it's
yeah.
just you see all kinds of stuff, man.
I've actually like there's been times where I was like in Yuma. I was in Yuma and we were parked and there was no truck stop, but some guy crashed into a rig that was sleeping like it was not the side of the road, but it was like this area we're far away from it. And yeah, it was another rig too. It was hilarious. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, this whole that one account, 18 Wheels of Chrome, that I follow, man. They'll be posting fights. They'll be fighting in the middle of the parking lot. All the lot lizards, like they catch some of the craziest stuff at truck stops, man.
You
People
know
fighting
what?
over fuel islands, all kinds of stuff, man.
I had a situation like that one time. There was a guy. I was waiting for somebody in the aisle in the fuel aisle, and I'm patient, but 45 minutes going an hour, and I honked at him, and the dude comes out fucking pissed, and I'm like, bro, I'm just trying to find out what's going on. It's been an hour. And he's like, the fucking pump's not working. And I'm like, and it's some dude, like, I don't know if he was raging. He was buff. I'm 5'6", 5'5.5", whatever. And the dude comes up and I have the window down and he's, I'm gonna kick your ass. I'm like, dude, I'm just trying to I gotta go too. You know what I mean? Like, and he was like, well, this is not working. I was like, well, you could have told me. You could have walked back here instead of me having to honk at you. That was like the biggest everything that like I had, myself. But going back to lot lizards, everybody says, "Oh, the lot lizards, lot lizards." I'm like, dude, since I've been driving, I honestly haven't seen any. And
Really?
then yeah, like honestly, I don't know if I'm just tired and I just knock out, but I mean, I honestly, everybody's like, how are the lot lizards? And then I've heard that here and there, and I'm like, dude, and then a lot of times, honestly, to be honest, a lot of times I don't sleep at truck stops. I'll stay at customers or outside of the customers because a lot of
Yeah.
times we deliver. So like I just go to field and that's basically it. I have a friend of mine, he because he has a 9 car hauler, so he always stops at, and I haven't really asked him, but everybody has asked me the famous lot lizards. I'm like, dude, that was way before my time. I haven't seen them.
Dude, they are still alive and well because these people be posting these videos all the time. I'm like, man, that has turned into a profession.
Yeah,
Um,
seriously.
So let me ask you this. So just kind of wrapping it up, these next few questions. What is your top problem as a driver?
And how, like, what aspects do you mean?
Meaning, like, what is one of the most difficult things that you face on the road, right? On the road, off the road. Well, I would say off the road, but like, you know, what is one of the biggest challenges you have as a driver?
I mean, like, other than traffic.
Yeah.
um it's just mostly traffic. Right now they're doing a lot of construction, so it really kicks our asses that
Yeah.
when we're driving and stuff. But other than that, no, I mean, yeah, I would say that. I would just say mostly traffic. I mean, and just people, like I actually took my wife with me when I first started truck driving. And for a while I already had experience when I started taking her with me, and she was like, she was getting more mad than I was. She was cussing people out left and right, and I was like, cut you off. And I'm like, oh, now you see what happens to us, like when you guys are down there, you don't see what's going up here, and we're just, we got to stop. Like, one of the biggest things that I've seen is like people don't understand when we're on the freeway and you're coming on an on-ramp, like it's a ramp. What is a ramp used for? To take off, rockets, ramp, and all that.
Yeah.
And people want us to stop so they can get in, or they'll like slowly merge in. Dude, with this one, I was doing tankers. I was coming down in Burbank, and this guy jumped in the freeway. I was coming up, and I was fully loaded. I had liquid asphalt at the time, and the guy just like almost had a dead stop, and my wife was with me at that time, and I was so pissed, man, because almost locked up my brakes,
Oh
and the
yeah.
guy once I almost like got on his bumper, he decides to take off. I tried to catch up to him because I was like, dude, so I was gonna try and pull him out of the car. I was so pissed because it was like, you know, I could have killed a lot of people, and it was liquid asphalt. It's like
Yeah.
445 Celsius. It's crazy. They
Yeah.
just don't care.
Yeah.
And then we're the ones that we always get blamed for it. It's always our fault. Soon as like something happens, I've had a few instances where I've had run-ins with like highway patrols. They come at you like pit bulls, like if we're like already found guilty or whatever, like savages, man. And it's like, dude, like, how about you throw us a bone?
Yeah. Absolutely. Well,
So
so let me ask you this. What's the most important thing? Well, let me just say this. The top two things that I get when I interview drivers is the top problem is truck parking. Like that's almost everyone's go-to. Uh, outside of the four wheelers, as you guys call them.
yeah.
The second thing is communication. So that that's the reason why I want to like this is good, man. Traffic, and what's
You
the
know, you
most
know,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
So like we get tickets if we park on off ramps or on ramps. We can't really park inside the cities. The Walmarts and all these shopping centers now are specifically designed so we can't even pull in there and park. They don't want us in there. I understand like if a truck is there for days or whatever, but where do they want us to go? All the cities are posted. Like there's certain places we can't go, and it's like, well, how are we gonna deliver there if you have it posted? Like it's ridiculous. Like they don't want us nowhere, but then you guys want all your stuff, right? You want everything delivered to you and stuff, but you guys don't want everything's posted. We can't really come into certain cities. Parking is a bitch, man, to be honest with you. But I just park and I'm like,
You
knock up,
got to do
wake me
what you
up.
got to do, man. And here's the
Yeah.
thing, and I'll tell you this. I don't know, like this is what I heard. So I just got back from the American ATA, the American Trucking Association conference, and we were chatting. We're kind of involved in an exercise, and I heard that there is one parking space for every 10 trucks. Like
Uh,
one parking space for every 10 trucks. Like
Yeah, tell me,
that's
where?
nuts, man.
Where? Because I
Yeah,
don't see it. I just park, and if they wake me up, they wake me up, and I'll move. But it's like, dude, like, where do you want me to park?
yeah.
It's ridiculous. But I just I don't know like how they expect us to keep doing our profession, and they're really like honestly indirectly or directly they're like really coming after us and attacking us, but yet they want all their stuff delivered.
Yeah.
It's
It's
it's a pain in the
unfortunate.
ass.
And that's also uh one of the things that I plan on doing is this interview is going to not only go on LinkedIn and YouTube and everything, it's also going to go on voiceofthedriver.com. And what I plan to do is elevate you guys as drivers and serve this up to whoever will listen. Say, listen, this is their story. These are their problems. This is how you can help them, right? Which brings me to the next thing. Like, what's the most important thing to you as a driver? And it could be anything. What's the most important thing to you as a driver?
I mean, as a driver, like what? Give me an example, because I mean,
Meaning, so safety, right? Communication, you know,
I mean, I guess safety, but overall, like just awareness of us, because I mean, I don't know who the FMCSA is. I don't know who votes these guys in. All these laws, like it's mostly, about like ourself or personally. I mean, I take care of myself. We all try and take care of each other. But I feel like mostly what's more important for me is all these laws that they're doing, against us. Like just read it's these mega carriers that are pushing for all these laws that they're doing, and it's like, hair follicle test, this and that, and it's like, you know, we're all grown adults. We can do what we want, and on the weekend, as long as I'm not doing it while I'm behind the wheel. What do you care, But all these laws that they're doing against us, it's just it's outrageous, And I would voting or have some awareness of who gets to go in there, because some of these laws are just for us truck drivers. It just gets worse and worse, and it's like you guys are restricting us more, but then you ask more of
you
us,
want
but
your
at the
stuff. You want your stuff. You want to like put all these restrictions on us, but yet if you can't get your stuff, it's a big problem. Yeah.
and California is one of the worst ones too, with this whole kicked out a lot of people, and then now supposedly I've heard that they're trying to petition to get it out, because it's been proven that the DEF doesn't do anything. It doesn't really do anything for the environment, even though they keep preaching it. But that was Arnold, but it doesn't really do anything,
Yeah, man,
you
don't get me
know,
started on California. I love California. I have a love-hate relationship with California. I love the
dude.
state. I love, I get the sunshine
You're
tax.
telling
Like
me.
like a lot of the politics and a lot of those crazy mandates and everything, it's like they're just pushing it off into the ocean, man. It's nuts, man. It's nuts.
Seriously, like it's a, but
We can
I don't
go
know.
on and
It's
on and on and on about that
Yeah,
one.
man. Shoot. Yeah, seriously. But yeah, and honestly, going back to your question though, honestly, that's one of my most important thing, is that no one really looks out for us. All these people that are making laws for truck drivers, they're not truck drivers. They're not over the road. They don't know what
Yep.
we're doing. And I mean, to us, I guess we're the last of the Mohicans. We're the last cowboys out there and stuff. But
Amen.
I mean, what do you know? I don't get it. I don't know what point are they going to keep putting laws into what until you can't drive? Like
And then what's going to happen? It's
exactly.
it's going to be the same stuff that happened during COVID, where there's 1,500 ships waiting off the coast of California.
Yeah.
There's going to be backlogs. There's going to be delays. It's anyway, like uh, my calling. It's it's nuts, man. And you know what? I don't know. There's some things that I say that I don't know 100% to be true, but I'm pretty sure the chief of the FMCSA is appointed, not voted in. So, we're voting in the politicians and they're appointing people to run these major government bodies, which is
I love America, and but
clearly I do. Look behind me. Yeah.
yeah, right. And it's just like, but this whole how they have everything set up, man, it's just like sometimes you're like, how they say, like, you try and vote and you vote, but a lot of times, you vote for your senator to go speak for you in Washington, and your senator doesn't even know, sometimes just say, vote locally, because that affects you more than going up there. But whoever gets appointed, whoever appoints them, I mean, ridiculous, you
Well,
know?
and that's one of the things, again, like I don't know where this voiceofthedriver.com thing is going to go. We're going to turn it into a podcast. We're going to put you guys out there, brother. Like we're going to put you out there. We want to hear from you. We want the right people to hear from you. So these questions that I've asked you, they will shift over time to really give you guys a true voice with the people that matter. So
Yeah,
um,
I was talking to a friend recently, and we're like, "Dude, I think we should do a podcast." But I'm like, at least where we can get in there, just someone will hear, and just rip on these companies that, like, that underbid other smaller companies just to take the freight, and then they ended up thing that they want to do 65 nationwide. I heard it was the major carriers that are trying to push it in, because it's one of the advantages that we have as owner operators or smaller mom and pop places, that we run 75. They have to do 65. I heard Arizona, because they were doing 55 or 60 max or something like that. And they're like, dude, you're a hazard in the freeway. Everybody's doing 75 and your trucks are, going slower, so you got to bump it up. But they want to save fuel,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
that's why they're doing it. But
Makes
you
sense.
know,
Makes sense. Last question. What can the public do to show you guys respect and appreciation?
I mean, don't cut us off. Stay in your lane. Because a lot of times, they don't care. I went to Delaware for Monica mid-pandemic, and I was coming back, and that was when you couldn't find toilet paper or nothing. I stopped in Oklahoma on the way back and got toilet paper. So we had toilet paper from Oklahoma. I was like, we're bougie. But I stopped and going back to the parking, I stopped and I went into a Walmart, right? And they have like their security, and the guy just it was me and my brother at the time. And the guy was like, "You guys think you guys are all that and this and that." And I'm like, "What are you talking about, dude?" And he's like, "You can't give you a ticket." And I was like, "Dude, like, chill out. Like, I have the receipt. I actually was buying something. I wasn't just sleeping or whatever. But, and then he was like, "No, you guys always stay here or whatever." But I mean, like, dude, just, we're trying to do our job late. Like, just give us a break, chill out. It's like,
Yeah.
no one goes into your job and tells you, oh, tries to run. I mean, don't get me wrong, there is some few apples out there, but just, don't cut us off, and if we're parked somewhere, respect that one, because trust me, when you sleep 10 hours in the truck and you sleep 10 hours at home, it's like you slept five, you know.
Yeah.
Because you know how they say, like, when you're not at home, your brain is not really asleep because you're out of your house. So
Yep.
you're sleeping in a truck, you don't know if someone's trying to break in, or somebody could hit you if you're parked like off the side of the road or something.
Yep.
So we're not really sleeping, and then we gotta jump in that and then do another 14 hours of work. So we're already kind of sleep deprived, to be honest. Even if we do sleep 8 or 10 hours straight, you
Yeah.
really don't get the rest. So
Yeah.
just that's what I would say. Just, cut us a break.
Good.
We deal with a lot of shit that you guys don't see.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, brother, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time. And again,
No
man,
problem.
I'll end this where I began, man. Thank you so much for what you do to keep this country moving, brother. Take care. Be safe out there.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right.